Welcome to Litbit channel. Today we will see Understanding India, Unit 3, Communicating Culture. Let's see what is communicating culture. Communicating culture is a context of understanding India involves exploring how India's diverse cultural heritage, traditions and societal norms are expressed and shared across its vast population and beyond. This concept is vital in grasping the India's point of view as culture deeply influences communication styles, value and interaction. First one is cultural diversity in India. India is the mosaic of language, religions, traditions and social practice. There are 22 officially recognized languages and hundreds of dialects. Each state or religion has its unique customs, festivals and social norms. For instance, the celebrations of festivals like Diwali, Eid and Christmas reflects religion while linguistic distinction shape communication. Next one is the role of communication in expressing culture. First one is language. Language is a primary medium for expressing culture identity. Indian communications often include idioms, proverbs and metaphors that are rooted in cultural context. Next one is non-verbal communication. That is body language, gesture and facial expressions are significant in conveying respect, emotions and social hierarchies. Next one is storytelling. Indian culture places a strong emphasis on oral traditions with stories for epics like the Mahabharata and Ramayana playing a role in moral and cultural education. Next one is communication styles. Indian communications often reflects societal hierarchies. Elders and authority figures are addressed with the formal title or honorifics. Next one, Indian society tends to emphasize communicating and family over individualism. This is reflected in the way decisions are communicated and made collaboratively. Next one is Indian often rely on implicit communications where the context, tone and relationship play a crucial role in interpreting messages. Next one is religion and spirituality. Religion and spirituality are integral to Indian culture, influencing communication pattern. Festivals, rituals, and religious texts are shared means of cultural expression. Symbols like the lotus, the Om, and colors like saffron are used in various forms of communication to convey deeper meaning. Next one is media and modern communication. Folk songs, dance, Bharatanatyam, and street theaters have historically been vital in communicating culture. Then social media, films and global communication platforms have expanded the reach of Indian culture, presenting a blend of traditions and modernity to the world. Next one is intercultural communication and challenge. As India interacts with other cultures, its communication styles adapt, yet retain unique elements. This creates a dynamic blend of traditional and contemporary approaches. Misinterpreting indirect communication styles or overlooking India's diversity can lead to cultural miscommunications. Next one is education and cultural understanding. Educational programs often aims to teach cultural sensitivity and promotes India's heritage through language, history and arts. Understanding these aspects enrich communication skills and builds a bridge. Let's we see third unit first heading, oral narratives, myth, tales and folklore. Let's we see what is oral narratives. India is a land of rich oral traditions where narratives have played a central role in preserving history, cultural, religion, and social norms. These stories, passed from one generation to another, have shaped the collective memory of communities and continue to influence Indian culture. See what is oral narratives? Oral narratives are stories, traditions, and historical accounts passed down verbally rather than through written text. In India, oral narratives encompass a wide range of forms, including myth, legends, folk tales, ballads, epics, and religious hymns. They serve to preserve the heritage and values of a diverse and multilingual society. Pioneer of oral narratives in India. The Vedic tradition stands as one of the oldest examples of oral narratives in India, where the Vedas were composed and transmitted orally for centuries before being written down. The great Indian epics Ramayana and Mahabharata originated as oral compositions and were recited by bards and storytellers. Bards and storytellers. Similar texts like the bards and storytellers. Similarly, texts like the Bhagavata Purana and other Puranas emerged from oral tradition. The Bhakti and Safi movements also contributed significantly, with saints like Kabir, Mirabai, and Guru Nanak conveying their teachings through oral poetry and hymns. Regional traditions such as Tamil Sangam literature and performs like Yakshagana and Pandavani further enrich India's oral narrative heritage. Followers of oral tradition in India include performers and storytellers such as Kadavachaks who narrates stories from the Ramayana and Mahabharata, and Pobe performers in Rajasthan who narrates the epics of Babuji. Folk arts like puppeteers, singers, and dancers also incorporate oral narratives into art forms like Kathaputli and Paul songs. Modern writers and scholars such as R.K. Narayan, who retold epics like Ramayana and Mahabharata, and folklorists who document and analyze oral traditions, also play a crucial role in keeping this narrative alive. Next one is types of oral narratives in India. Oral narratives in India are diverse and include myths, legends, folklores, epics, ballads, hymns, and proverbs. Myth explains custom. Myth explain cosmic origins, gods, and supernatural events such as creation stories found in the Puranas. Legends recount semi-historical tales of heroes and rulers like the stories of Akbar and Birbal. Folk tales reflects moral lessons and societal value as seen in collections like Panchatantra and Hitopadesha. Epics like Ramayana, Mahabharata, and regional epics such as Silapadikaram in Tamil Nadu celebrates heroic deeds. Ballads such as Alha and Lebanese narrate love stories or historical events through song. Bhajans and hymns express religious devotions, while riddles, proverbs, and saying encapsulate wisdoms in simple yet impactful forms. Characteristics of Indian oral narratives. Indian oral narratives are deeply influenced by religion and spirituality, often rooted in mythology and tradition. They are performance based, involving music, dance, and theatre, and are community centric, reflecting the collective values and traditions of the society. These narratives are fluid and adaptive, evolving over time to suit changes cultural context. Rely on episodic storytelling, embarrassing non-linear structures instead of strict chronological sequence. Features of Indian oral narrative. So, it exhibits language diversity, existing in multiple language and dialects such as Hindi, Tamil, Telugu, and Bengali. They make extensive uses of symbolism, employing metaphors and allegory to convey deeper meaning. Most oral narratives embed moral or spiritual lessons, teaching values and ethics. They are also interactive, encouraging audience participation, and offer a multisensory experience by combining speech, music, gesture, and visual aids. Merits of Indian oral narrative. It plays a significant role in preserving cultural heritage, safeguarding the diversity of traditions and language. They are accessible to all regardless of literacy, and serve as educational tools by teaching moral lessons, life skill, and historical knowledge. Their adaptability allows them to remain relevant across generation. Moreover, they engage audience through captivating plots, making them an important source of entertainment. The merits of Indian oral narrative. Despite their richness, oral narrative face challenges such as the loss of authenticity over time, as stories are prone to change with each retelling. Their depends on memory increases the risk of distortions or omission. They are often limited by regional and linguistic barriers, restricting their reach. Being impermanent, they are vulnerable to extinction if not documented. Additionally, oral narratives are restricted to the immediate audience, limiting their broader dissemination. In conclusion part, Indian oral narratives are a treasure trove of cultural wisdoms, creativity and historical knowledge. They serve as a bridge connecting generations and communities, embodying the diversity of Indian heritage. However, modernization and globalization pose challenges to their survival. Efforts to document, study, and promote these traditions are essential to ensure their preservation. By valuing and revitalizing oral narratives, India can safeguard its cultural tapestry for future generations. Let's we recall the oral narratives. What are oral narratives? Oral narratives are stories, traditions, and historical accounts passed down verbally and instead of a written text. Name two examples of India's oral tradition. The Vedic chanting of Vedas, epic like the Ramayana and Mahabharata. Who are the pioneer of oral narratives in India? Pioneer include Valmiki, Vaishya, and saints like Kabir and Mirabai. What role do Kadavachaks play? Kadavachaks narrates epics like the Ramayana and Mahabharata in storytelling session. Name to regional oral tradition. Yakshagana and Bandavani. Then, what are the ballads in oral narratives? Ballads are narrative songs about love, heroism, or historical events like Alga in Bundelkhand. What are the main characteristics of Indian oral narratives? They are performance based, adaptive, communicative centric, and often rooted in religion and tradition. Mention two merits of oral narrative: preserve cultural heritage, teach moral lesson and life skill. State two demerits of oral narrative: risk of destruction or loss of authenticity over time, limited reach due to regional and linguistic barriers. Then, what is the future of oral narratives in India? Oral narratives requires documentation and promotion to preserve them amidst modernizations and globalization. Let's we see myths in India. Myths are traditional stories that explains the origins of the universe, God, supernatural being, and fundamental truth. In India, myths are deeply intertwined with religions, rituals, and cultural identity. They are often found in texts like the Puranas, Vedas, and epics like the Mahabharata and the Ramayana. Myth in India include various types. Creation myth explains the origins of the universe, gods, and humanity, such as the cosmic chanting. Myths of gods and goddess glorifies the divine deeds, like Lord Shiva consuming poison during the Samudra Manthan. Heroic myths narrate the extraordinary feats of divine or semi-divine heroes, such as Krishna's defeat of Kamsa. Cosmic myths describes the cycles of times, distractions, and renewal, exemplified by Lord Shiva's dance of destruction. Their sacred context, linking them to rituals and religious practice. They possess a timelessness existing outside specific historical periods. Myths convey the moral teaching and use symbolism to represent universal truth. Their features highlight polytheistic themes, celebrating India's pantheon of gods and goddesses. Myths address existential questions through their cosmic scopes and blend history with fantasy by incorporating divine intervention. The merits of myth include preserving ancient beliefs and practice, offering spiritual guidance through moral and ethical frameworks, educating via allegories and symbols, and uniting communities through shared beliefs. However, myths have demerits such as being prone to misinterpretations, perpetuating outdated social norms, and sometimes reasoning only within specific regional or cultural context. In conclusion, part myth in India are a cornerstones of its cultural and spiritual heritage. They continue to shape Indian philosophy, art, and societal value. While they must adapt it to contemporary context, their essence carries of timeless wisdoms must be preserved. Let's we see tales in India. Tales are short stories that conveys more lessons, cultural norms, or entertainment. In India, they range from the dedicated fables of the Panchatantra to the humorous anecdotes of Akbar and Birbal. There are several types of tales in India. Animal tales features animals as a protagonist to convey moral lessons, such as the stories from the Panchatantra. Historical tales narrate significant events or figures like the stories of Akbar and Birbal. Chataka tales emphasize ethical value, while fantasy tales like Vikram and Beetle incorporate magical or supernatural elements. The characteristics of tales includes their conscious and forced narratives. They are entertaining, designing to captivate listeners, and serve didactic purpose by embedding lessons or morals. Tales have universal appeal, resonating with the audience of all ages. Their feature includes a simple structures with a clear beginning, middle, and end. Repetitions and rhymes add memorizations. A tale often features relatable humans or animal protagonists and conclude with a moral lesson. The merits of tales include their educational value, offering moral lessons in an engaging manner. They help preserve cultural value and traditions and are easily accessible, making them simple to remember and retell. On the other hand, tales may oversimplify complex issues, risking the distortions of authenticity over time. They can also reflect outdated or culturally biased value. Conclusion part tales in India are a vibrant part of its oral and literary tradition. They are entertain, educate, and inspire, remaining relevant while preserving their timeless moral lesson. Let's we see folklore in India. Folklore refers to the collective myth, legends, song, proverbs, and customs of the community. In India, folklore varies across religion but remains a repository of cultural and historical identity. Indian folklore include various types. Folk tales blend fantasy and reality, like those from Rajasthan's Billy community. Folk songs such as Song Bihu songs reflects emotions, festivals and events. Folk dance and dramas like Kathakali and Yakshagana and performative expressions of folklore. Proverbs and sayings such as unity is strength encapsulate wisdoms in memorable phrase. Customs and rituals rooted in traditions like Pongal and Lohari also forms part of folklore. The characteristics of folklore emphasize its community-centered nature, represents a collective identity. It is a dynamic, evolving with time and context, and reflects regional flavors through local dialects and practice. Folklore is non-institutionalized, passed formally through oral tradition. Folklore's features include its multimedia nature, encompassing stories, songs, and performance. It is often tied to rituals and ceremonies, addressing universal human themes and adapted to social changes. The merits of folklore includes its role in preserving regional identities and strengthening communal bonds. It imparts life lessons through education and offers diverse artistic expression. However, folklore is prone to loss, vulnerable to fading in modern societies. Exclusivity may limit universal resonance, and misinterpretations over time can alter meanings. Additionally, commercializations risk diluting its essence. In conclusion part, Indian folklore is a living tradition that celebrates the diversity and unity of its people. While modernization threatens its continuity, efforts to preserve and document folklore ensure that this cultural treasures remains vibrant and relevant for generations to come. Let's we revise myth, tales and folklore. What are myths in India? Myths in India are traditional stories that explains the origins of the universe, gods, supernatural beings and fundamental truth. They are deeply connected to religion, rituals and cultural identity. Name two examples of Indian myths. Samudra Manthan, Shiva dance of destruction. What is creation myth? Creation myths are stories explaining the origins of the universe, gods and humanity, such as the Samudra Manthan. What are the heroic myths? Heroic myths are narrate the extraordinary feats of divines or semi-divine heroes like Krishna's defeat of Kamsa. Next one, what is the role of symbolism in myths? Myths use symbolism to represent universal truth and convey spiritual or ethical teaching. Mention two features of myths in India. They blend history of fantasy, they address existential questions. State two merits of myths preserves ancient beliefs and practice, providing spiritual guidance through moral teaching. Next one, what are the types of tales in India? Types includes animal tales, historical tales, moral tales, and fantasy tales. Next one, what is the moral tales? Moral tales emphasize ethical value and lessons as seen in the Chataka tales. Then, what is the unique features of tales? Tales have a simple structures with a clear beginning, middle, and end, often concluding with a moral lesson. List two merits of tales. They preserve cultural traditions, they are engaging and educational. What is folklore? Folklore is a collective myths, legends, proverbs, and customs of a community reflecting its cultural and historical identity. Next one, give examples of Indian folk dance. Kathakali, Yakshagana. What are folk songs? So, folk songs are traditional songs reflecting emotion, festivals, and events like Assam's Bihu songs. State two characteristics of folklore. Folklore is a community centered, representing collective identity. It evolves with the times and reflects regional dialects and practice. Next one, mention one merit and one demerit of folklore. Merit strengthens communal bonds, demerits phone to laws in modern societies. Next one, what is the role of proverbs in folklore? Proverbs can encapsulate wisdoms in short, memorable phrases such as unity is strength. Thank you viewers. Thanks for watching this video.